The center section of today's square is worked using the corner to corner, the C2C method, with some extra different types of stitches or blocks in there. So get your supplies and get ready to enjoy this square. We're going to start the square with an increase square. So we will chain 6, then we want to double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook and in the remaining 2 chains. So that's row 1. We will turn and we'll work another increase square, so that's chain 6, double crochet in that 4th chain from the hook and in the next 2 chains. And then we'll do a basic square. So the basic square, we will slip stitch into this chain 3 space, which sort of lays the square that we just finished across the top of our first row square. Chain 3, three more double crochet in that chain space. That's row 2, and turn. Row 3, work an increase square, so we'll chain 6, double crochet in that 4th chain from the hook and in the next 2 chains. Then we're going to make a chain square. So chain square, we just slip stitch into the next chain space and chain 6. Then we'll work another basic square, so slip stitch into that next chain 3 space, chain 3, and 3 more double crochet in that same space. For row 3. Row 4, we will make sure we turn and do an increase square. So chain 6, double crochet in that 4th chain from the hook and the next 2. And we'll do 3 times, we'll make a basic square. So slip stitch in this next chain, chain 3, 3 more double crochet. Slip stitch in this chain 6 space, chain 3, and 3 more double crochet. And 1 more basic square, slip stitch in this last chain 3 space, chain 3, oops, and 3 double crochet in that same space. So row 5 starts with an increased square. And then we're going to work a purl square. So we slip stitch into this next space and work our chain 3. Then we'll double crochet in that same chain 3 space. We're going to work a puff stitch around that double crochet we just made. So yarn over, insert around that post of the double crochet to pull up a loop. And we want to do that 3 times. There should be 7 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, and then make another double crochet into that same space for a purl square. We'll do another chain square, so we slip stitch in this next chain 3 space, work a chain 6, slip stitch into that next chain 3 space, and work another purl square. So chain 3, double crochet in that same space, and puff stitch around that. 7 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, double crochet back in that same chain 3 space. We'll end the row with 1 more basic square, so slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3, and 3 double crochet in that space. Row 6, we'll start with that increased square, and then we'll work 5 basic squares. So starting in this next chain 3 space with our first of the basic squares. Then you can work 4 more basic squares for this row. When working the basic square by this purl square, you can see that chain 3 across the top of the puff. So you slip stitch in there and then finish your basic square. Row 7, we'll start with that increased square again and work a purl square in the next stitch. So remember, we slip stitch, chain 3, work a double crochet in that space, and a puff stitch around that double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Pull through all 7. 1 more double crochet. We'll work a second purl square in the next space. And then work a chain square. Slip stitch in that next space, chain 6. 2 more purl squares. And end the row with a basic square. Row 8 starts with an increased square again, and then we will work 7 basic stitches down the row. Row 9, we start with that increased square again, and we'll work 7 purl squares down the side. So my first purl square goes in this next chain 3 space. So that's 1 purl square. You'll work 6 more purl squares. And ending the row with my basic square. One, 2, and 3 double crochet. So row 9 has those 9 squares across. Row 10, we start with that increased square, and then we will work 9 basic squares across the row. Row 11 starts with an increased square again. This is the last row for increasing. We will make 3 chain squares. So remember to slip stitch in that next chain 3 space, then chain 6. And we'll do that 3 times. So that's once, twice, and this is the 3rd one. And then we'll make a purl square. So slip stitch into that next space, chain 3, work the double crochet and the puff stitch around that double crochet. Pull through all 7 loops, 1 more double crochet in that same chain 3 space. Work another chain square. Then we'll work another purl square and 3 more chain squares and end with a basic square. So you can work this next purl and 3 more chain squares. Row 12 starts with a decreased square. So we chain 1 and turn. You can turn before your chain 1. It's my habit to chain 1 first and then turn. After we chain 1 and turn, we'll slip stitch into each of these first 3 double crochet. And then ready to work our basic squares. We're going to work 10 basic squares starting in this first chain 3 space. And we'll work 10 down the row. So 10 basic squares. After our 10th one, we will slip stitch in that final chain 3 to end row 12. Row 13 starts with that decreased square, so we chain 1. After we turn, slip stitch in each of these first 3 double crochet. And in the chain 3 space, we work a basic square. And then we will work 7 purl squares across, so you can work those 7 now. After the 7 purl squares, we will make a basic square in this next chain 3 space. And then slip stitch in this final chain 3 space. We will chain 1 and slip stitch in each of those first 3 double crochet for our decreased square, round 14. We'll work 8 basic squares down this side before slip stitching into that last chain 3 space. So 8 basic squares. So I've worked my 8 basic squares, ready to slip stitch in that final chain 3 space to finish row 14. Row 15 then, we start with that chain 1, slip stitch in each of those first 3 double crochet. Then we'll work a basic square in this next chain 3 space. Then we'll work 2 purl squares. One purl square, and 2 purl squares. So we'll make a chain square, so slip stitch in that next chain 3 and chain 6. We'll work 2 more purl squares. It's 1, 2 purl square, and 1 more basic square. Ending with a slip stitch in this final chain 3 space. Row 16 starts with that chain 1 and slip stitch in those first 3 double crochet for that decrease square. And we'll work 6 basic squares down this side, or this row. So 6 basic squares. And slip stitch into that chain 3 space to end row 16. Row 17, we start with that decrease square, which I've already worked, slip stitching into those 3 double crochet. Then we'll work a basic square, and a purl square. Then a chain square. Then you'll work another purl square and a basic square before slip stitching into that last chain 3 space. Row 18 starts with a decrease square, and then we'll work 4 basic squares across before slip stitching into that chain 3 space. Row 19 will work a basic square, a chain square, and a basic square. And then slip stitch into that final chain 3. Row 20 starts with the decrease square, and we'll work 2 basic squares before slip stitching into that final chain 3. Row 21 starts with a decreased square, and we'll work one basic square and then slip stitch in that chain 3 space. Row 22, our final row for this middle section, we work a decreased square. So slip stitch in those 3 double crochet and end with a slip stitch in the chain 3 space. We will not turn or fasten off. So I've switched to a contrast color to help you see these border rounds better. To start our first row of the border, we will chain 3 from where we placed our last slip stitch last round, and then we want to slip stitch in that same space to make a corner chain 3 space. And then we will chain 3. We're going to slip stitch in between our squares. So you can easily see how the double crochet of one square is lying sideways and the other double crochet are going up and down, up and down. So in between those 2 squares, we'll slip stitch in that space and chain 3. We'll do that a total of 10 times. That's 2, 3. And 10. We'll chain 3. We're going to slip stitch into the base of this first double crochet of this corner square, chain 3, and slip stitch into that same stitch for another corner space. And then we'll repeat 10 times down this side with the chain 3, slip stitch between the squares. So 10 times down that second side, and again we will find the base of this last double crochet to slip stitch in there. Oops, sorry, we need to chain 3 first, my apologies. Chain 3, then slip stitch into the base of that last double crochet, chain 3 again, slip stitch in that same stitch. We'll turn and work down the next side, making those 10 repeats of chain 3, slip stitch in the next space between the blocks or the squares. So after the 10 times down that side, we'll chain 3 again, and finding the top of this double crochet, slip stitch in there, chain 3, slip stitch in the same stitch for our corner space. And one last time, we'll work those 10 repeats of chain 3, slip stitch between the squares. And then we'll slip stitch into that first chain 3 corner space of the round to finish round 1 of the border. Round 2, we will chain 3, which counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1, and we'll double crochet into that same corner chain 3 space. We'll work 3 double crochet in the next chain 3 space, and we will continue that all the way down the side. So 11 times we will place 3 double crochet in the chain 3 spaces. And then in the corner chain 3 space, we will place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that corner space. You'll continue to work that around all 4 sides, omitting the final double crochet, chain 1, double crochet. We'll slip stitch into that chain space and I'll meet you there. So I've worked around all 4 sides. To finish up, we will just join with a slip stitch into that first chain space we made at the beginning of the round. Each side then has 35 double crochet with a chain 1 corner space. Round 3 starts with that chain 3 double crochet in the same space to count as a double crochet, chain 1 double crochet. We're going to skip this first double crochet and then work in between the next 2 double crochets. So skip this first one, so between the second and the third. So we won't work into this first stitch, we'll double crochet in between it and the next double crochet. We won't work that second double crochet, but work a purl stitch in the next. So the double crochet, work the puff stitch around, pull through all 7 loops, skip the next double crochet in between the stitches. We'll repeat that down the side for 11 of these purl stitches, and I'll meet you at that point. So the double crochet in between will be always between these groups of 3 double crochet, and the purl stitch will always be made into the middle of those group of 3 double crochet. So when you've worked those 11 purl stitches down the side, we will double crochet after that last group of 3 double crochet, and then in the corner chain space we'll make a double crochet, chain 1 double crochet, and work that around all 3 sides. The final side, after that last double crochet, we will join with a slip stitch to our beginning, or in that beginning chain space, to end the round. 11 purl stitches, 14 double crochet, and 1 chain 1 space. Round 4, we will chain 2 to start, which counts as a half double crochet. And in that same corner space, we'll place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and a half double crochet, all in that same corner space. Working down the side, we will half double crochet in this first double crochet, half double crochet in the next, and we'll half double crochet into the double crochet part of the purl stitch, and then half double crochet in the puff part of the purl stitch. We'll do that 11 times. Half double crochet in the next double crochet, half double crochet into the double crochet of the purl stitch, and into the puff part of the purl stitch. So you can repeat that down the side, and I'll join you just before the next corner. So after we've worked those half double crochet on that last bead stitch, we will half double crochet in each of those last 2 double crochet of the side, and then ready to work our corner of half double crochet, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, half double crochet in that same space, then ready to work down the side, being careful to grab that first double crochet that's a little bit hidden, half double crochet in it and the next, and those 2 half double crochet, 1 each, worked on each part of the purl stitch. So you can go ahead and work that all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of this round. We will join with the slip stitch to the top of our starting chain 2 to end this round. 38 half double crochet, 2 double crochet, and 1 chain in the corner on each side. Round 5, our final round for this square. We will chain 1, which does not count as a stitch. We will single crochet in that same stitch and in the double crochet. In the corner space, we will place a single crochet, chain 1, and single crochet. We'll skip this very first stitch, so that double crochet, and then we'll single crochet in each stitch down the side until we get to the next corner, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and so on, remembering to skip that first stitch of each side. So you can work your way around and join to our starting stitch, our starting single crochet to end this round.